I just worked out in a club. I worked out in a club in Soho. That was crazy. Hello everyone and welcome back to our community. If you're new, I'm Jen. I speak about all things health, wellness, self-care, productivity while living in New York City. And today we are reviewing a dance class, Forward Space. I cannot believe I went to a dance class. I am someone who does not dance. I'm not a good dancer. Dance classes intimidate me, but I also have a friend who is a dancer and has sort of lost touch with the practice. And I had her record a clip for her thoughts later on in the video, so whether you're a dancer or not, we got you covered. Okay, so what is Forward Space? It is described as a euphoric hybrid of movement that is equal parts cardio, dance, athletic training, and moving meditation. They offer a sanctuary meets clubby environment, and they believe that there's an athlete and an artist in each of us. They are simply unlocking what is already there, which I love the sentiment, but let's get into the nitty-gritty, right? So they have 4 types of classes. They have the forward class, which is their classic 50-minute non-stop, easy to follow dance cardio class. And then at the end of that class, there's like a choreographed moment, which we'll get into, but most of it is very easy to follow, almost like a Zumba, but way more fun and cooler. The other class they have is called Forward Fire. You'll incorporate 2 to 4 pound weights throughout the entire class. These are the 2 classes I tried. They're both very different, same environment, same vibe, but the weights class, the Forward Fire class, I found a little more like aerobic-y, if that makes sense, because you're like dancing while also using the little weights. And then there are interval dance breaks in that class as well. Each of them ends with a moving meditation. There's 2 other offerings. Forward Floor, which is a shorter class. It's about 30 minutes and you're gonna do more like mat-based Pilates and then of course some dance involved as well, but it's on the floor, which is why it's called Forward Floor. And then Forward Forms is for more of an artist type vibe. It's like they dive into contemporary movement and choreography. They're diving into technique, musicality. I think it's more for like the dancer, so I will not be attending. So locations, they have their location in Soho on Spring Street, which is a prime location. And then they also have an online studio where you can practice live with the people in studio. And then they also have on-demand classes as well. As far as amenities goes, for the Soho location, there are no showers. There are changing rooms. There are lockers. You don't need to bring your own lock. There's like built-in lock in there. You know, there's some like freshen up stuff. There's like the deodorant and things like that, but no showers. Everyone's favorite part, pricing. So one class is $38, which is unfortunately pretty standard in New York City. I would like to see some of these classes that are no equipment and no machines and no showers, like less amenities. I would like to see them lower their prices just a little bit. I understand real estate's super high in New York and like it's probably not even possible to stay open if they lowered it, but it just saying, like some of them are like the same price as studios that are offering a lot more in terms of like equipment, like a huge megaformer or amenities. So just a note, but it is pretty standard. They do have a 2-for-1 intro deal where you would get 2 classes for the price of 1, but use that. So you'll go to their site and do the BOGO offer, which is 2 for 1, but use my code FORWARDSPACEJEN. I'll pop it up here and down below, and you'll get 2 classes for the price of $24, which is way less than even the price of 1. So definitely use my code. I don't get anything from it. It's just a gift to you guys. They also have some package deals. You could get 3 classes for the price of $105, etc. And then their virtual hub, which is the on-demand and live classes, is going to be $34 a month, which is less than the price of 1 class. So that's a pretty good deal. I feel like this would be a really fun one to do, the virtual hub, because like you're at home and you're just dancing in your own environment, vibing out. You don't really need equipment. So it's a really good option if you're looking to get into dance at home. Now let's get into the actual workout itself. So my thoughts on the class. So we'll start with the Forward Space forward class, like the classic one. I was thriving. As someone who hates dance, I was able and given the time to just fully get out of my head for a couple of reasons. Number 1, it's dark in there. It's a clubby vibe. So if you've ever been to a club, like it's really hard to focus on anyone else. You're just vibing out. So because it was so dark and like a really fun loud music, like lighting, all of the things, I could really drop into my body and get out of my head. But then also it was repetitive movement. You like stuck with the movement for a long amount of time, and as someone who's not good at dance or choreography, to be able to get into the groove of muscle memory and just like do a move so many times that eventually you could just get into it and vibe out while doing the move and get out of your head was really helpful. It was also a really fun and inviting environment. It looked so cool online that I was like a little intimidated to go in, but you know, at certain points you're like dancing with each other. We like started like doing high knees to each other at the end and reversing. Like, it was great. And as someone who doesn't love dance, it was for sure dance heavy, but towards the end, there was a time to do like some ab work while standing up, some high knees, things like that. And then, I was not expecting this, and this happens in both classes. At the end, there was a heart-clearing moving meditation. So we were going like this, like you do at the class, which is my PR client, which I have a review for them separately. I just wasn't expecting it in this class. It was like you just vibe out and using movement and silence to just fully meditate. It was like I was clearing out all this like anxious energy at the end of a class where I was finally let loose and free. Oh my God, it was like you just have to make the decision to drop in and just like, oh, it was incredible. So that was my favorite part of both classes. And then just to go to the forward fire class, it felt a little more like aerobics. Like it was definitely not as cool of a crowd. It was a little more like we're gonna do small weights and dance while we do this and this. You know what I mean? So the music wasn't as fun, but I'm sure that also depends on the instructor. So I personally, when I do go back, it'll be for just the forward class because I felt like I could just vibe out, dance, be bad at dance. No one was caring. No one, like I didn't feel bad about myself. There are 4 instructors in the room, in that big room, which is nice because you get the energy in the whole class. There's like backup dancers on the stage. It's really cool. It's very different than anything I've ever taken, but there's no instructors coming up to you like, can you fix this? Like, you know? One other thing to note in terms of the instructors is they were able to actually correct you on form, not by like calling anyone out, but they'd be like, all right, breathe guys, or like, shoulders back. Like if they saw something in the crowd, they say it from the stage. So that was definitely helpful. Like I liked that they were still focusing on form. I wrote a note right after and I said, 4+ dancers in the room, feeding energy, showing you moves throughout the class. It was more Zumba vibes, easier to follow, get into it, not intimidating at all. So fun. You feel like you can really let loose, which is hard for me in a dance class to get out of my head. Heart clearing at the end. We spoke about all this. The energy is unmatched when you walk in. It's loud. People are like hyped to be there, so excited, which really gets you in the mood. And they actually help you learn the moves as you're doing it, as I just mentioned, kind of with the form. They'll like break it up piece by piece, and it's really great and comforting for as a first timer without them calling you out as a first timer. They're just kind of helping the entire class as a whole. And the instructors were so nice. Like I spoke to all of them after class and like just genuine and nice. And on that note, my friend who I took with me, Sydney, is a dancer. So she really connected with all of the instructors there who also are dancers or ex-dancers. So I want to hear from her what she thought of this class as a dancer.
Everything about Forward Space lends itself to that club environment. It's the space, the dark lights, the big music, big crowd, the stage, the energy. Everything is the stuff that I wanted from a workout class, the stuff that inspires me to work out and work harder. But what I didn't expect, it was gonna bring up all the past emotions as a former dancer, as a current dancer. It has that same energy of a dance class where you're following an instructor, adding on to moves, you're stretching your body, you're lengthening your muscles, but without the pressure of getting it perfect. And I think that's what was so beautiful and moving to me and almost triggering in a really clearing way. It reminded me why I love to dance and why I love to experiment with movement in my body and how moves feel, rather than how they make my body look, rather than how they look amongst a group or how they look compared to the girl next to me or the girl in front of me, how it looks in the mirror. It's not about that. It was about how it felt. And while you're doing some of the same movements as in a ballet class, it took all the perfection and the cleanliness away from it. And that was the stuff that turned me off from dance. And it was so beautiful to kind of rediscover that in an exercise environment and in a very safe space with women and men that were cheering me on and were kind of doing the same thing as me and making the same discoveries. Another thing I want to add about Forward Space is that the clearing work that you do at the end, for any fellow actors or dancers, it's very similar to anything you would have done in that kind of training, where you kind of release any prior instincts and let your movement and let your thoughts come directly from the moment. And I think that's something that's so rare nowadays, and you're constantly focused in workout classes on what's coming next and what song is coming next and what move is coming next and how you're feeling and what you're doing. And that kind of action, that kind of movement that allows you to just shake and jump and move around and not focus on anything else is really rare and something that I want to get back into doing daily if possible.
Okay, so now let's get into know before you go. So number 1, you need nothing except bring and wear sneakers, but that's literally literally it. Wear sneakers you're comfortable jumping around in. You don't need anything else except a water. But if you did need to get a water there, they sell them. If you're also someone who does not dance, I just want you to know before you go that it's okay. It's an inviting environment. It's very inclusive, so just have fun with it and drop in. Another thing to note is you don't get like a spot number or anything like that, so you just walk in and find a space. So I would suggest getting there. You really don't open the doors until like 2 minutes before class, but try to get there a little early so you can make sure to stand by the door and like get a place in the back if that's where you're most comfortable. And it's very sweaty, so like don't expect to go out after. I did my hair the night before and I washed it, and I was expecting to like be able to just dance and I don't know, like still go out with the same hair that night, and I had to shower. I was sweating so much. So just one thing to know, it's very sweaty. And that's what I have for you. Please let me know if this was helpful. Give this a thumbs up so that I know. Comment in the comments below if you're someone who loves or hates a dance class. Subscribe if you're not subscribed yet so you could join this beautiful community, and I will see you guys next week. Bye.